The light.
The light.
It's
we
a
have a new
wonderful greenish.
camera. I don't know. Do we just turn off all the lights?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't think you were expecting this much.
No, and also like the angle is crazy.
You know what? We're just gonna have to make it work. So.
Wait, and when I look at myself, I'm looking 45 feet. So I literally have to display to the camera.
Were you not on the show this afternoon? This has not changed. This camera's in the same place.
I don't believe any of it. I did not look this horrific.
Well, that's a whole other story. You had a haircut. Your haircut looks really good.
I still got it. Hi guys, it's Seth and James, and it Stars in the House.
Yes, it is.
Stars in the House began mid-March. We do it twice a day, 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we keep it online at starsinthehouse.com. We began as a fundraiser for the Actors Fund, and just recently we pivoted because of the really around the world civil rights struggle happening. We're raising money for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And we don't have the little scroll on the bottom. The way we'd like you to help us is as follows. You can donate to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, which was founded
in 1940 by Thurgood Marshall, who was at the helm for 21 years, I believe, before he became the first African-American on the Supreme Court. And he actually, I don't know if you know this, but he devised the legal strategy to end segregation, to get rid of the laws.
Yeah, so he's got street cred, as we say.
He does.
So please
we
donate.
love the Legal Defense Fund.
You donate there, NAACPLDF.org/starsinthehouse.
That's
so you donate there, but then we want you to do the next step, which is forward us your donation. StarsInTheHouse2020 at Gmail, and then we could read it. We could say, oh my God, thank you so much, Clarence, for donating $40, whatever you want to do. So just forward it to us, StarsInTheHouse2020 at gmail.com. But start right now. Oh my God, we always forget to say this. Can you share this right now? So whatever social media you have, copy and paste the address on top and just paste it on your Facebook and your Twitter. The more people that watch, the more people that will, first of all, get in a good mood, because these shows are always I feel very warm. And they'll also hopefully donate to NAACP. So please share everywhere. Thank you.
And this isn't to say that the Actors Fund still is not in need, because especially coming in the next few months, a lot of people losing their health insurance because of Broadway and production and theaters being closed around the country.
Yeah.
And Seth and I are proud to say that because of our Stars in the House viewers, over $350,000 has been raised on the show for them.
Yeah.
But for now, it feels...
This seemed the most pressing need right now. We try to, just like the Actors Fund, when it first began, that seemed like the most pressing thing. People were so out of work. So we're just trying to sort of adapt with what's happening. But the Actors Fund, boy, do they need money. People are really out of work, and they're really struggling.
But for now, this is what feels right, and we don't know how long we'll be doing this. Maybe we'll end up splitting proceeds. We don't know. We're all, like all of us, we're figuring it out, and that's it. So, Seth, I think we should bring on Dr. LaPook first before we bring on. We're so thrilled, by the way, that we've got our special guest. Wait a minute, Seth, you haven't even put her name on there. You want to put Mary's name on that?
Sure. I didn't create it, so don't blame the messenger.
Okay, I won't. We're so happy that Mary Wilson is going to be joining us, but we first want to have Dr. LaPook come on and give us any updates, and especially with people, going back to work, and see if he's got some advice.
Yeah, my sister had to go back to work. We want to know the safe way to go back to work without having to wear hazmat suits.
And Cicely, bring him on, Dr. LaPook.
Hi, Dr.
LaPook.
I always have to figure out how to center myself. I have to get centered. But so wait a second. Am I correct in understanding that I am opening for Mary Wilson?
That's a great way to look at it. Yes.
You know what? I'm sure she would have let you put that on your resume, Dr. LaPook.
Bucket. Check.
Check.
So yeah, going back to her. So this is a question, I'm still practicing medicine. I'm doing pieces for CBS Evening News. And right now we're doing a big dive. And yet again, Stars in the House is getting it before it's going to be on the Evening News and probably CBS This Morning next week. Looking at, I spoke to the CDC today. I've spoken to some researchers who are experts in in dirty buildings. What do you do when a building is contaminated, or you want to make sure that the ventilation gets improved? And then I also spoke to a woman who is an aerosol expert. And here's the bottom line, because there's, we've already said you have to do physical distancing at least 6 feet. And actually, the more the merrier. There's an interesting way of looking at all these protections as you're thinking about going back. is that they're layered. They're different layers of protection, one on top of another, on top of another, on top of another. None of them, even if you do them all, it's not 100%, unless you stay in your home alone. But you can start giving yourself layers of protection. So as you're going back to work, one layer of protection to think about is, of course, you're leaving the home. You're doing everything we said. You're washing your hands. You're wearing a face mask when you're outside. But this was something that's really interesting. There's the concept of droplets versus airborne or aerosol. So when you sneeze or cough, you have these droplets that come out of your mouth. You've probably seen them in like these laser lights hitting them, where they have a dramatic portrayal of what happens out of your mouth. It's kind of disgusting looking, right? But you get these droplets. They may be 20 microns up to even much higher, 100 microns, right? And what happens is they can go maybe 6 feet or so, although they can go longer if you have a really big sneeze. And then by gravity, they fall to the ground. That's where you get kind of the 6 feet distance, try to get away from 6 feet. But then, this is super important. There's, in addition to that, much smaller particles, say 5 microns. They float out, they evaporate, and then these particles, these particulate nuclei, can just float out across a room. Now, of course, the further they are away from you, the less it gets. And also, we don't know how infectious they are. That's all research that has to be done. But the bottom line is that if you're going to work, if you're going to be indoors, you want to make sure, this is from the CDC and from all the other 2 people who I interviewed, ventilation. It's so simple. But I wasn't really even thinking about that. So if you're in your home, open up a window, open up a door. Because if you have air conditioning, it's the same air going around, then you're recirculating it. We don't know what the role of an air filter is with what's called a HEPA filter. That hasn't been studied, but maybe you want to try that. But if you're going back to work, a very reasonable thing to ask, your boss or whoever you're working with or who's in control of the building, take a look at the ventilation. And can you improve the ventilation by opening a window, opening a door? May not be a normal thing to think about in the summer with air conditioning. If it is air conditioning, is the air being recirculated, or is the air being thrown out of the building, which would be better, right? And then if they don't have that, I asked the CDC, so what happens if you go in and they simply don't have good ventilation and you're in a little cubicle? And he said, think about telecommuting.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I really like that because it's layers of protection. And on top of that, of course, you got to think about who you're living with. Is it somebody who's vulnerable? And that increases your how careful you are maybe. Outdoors is much safer than indoors. But these are all things that people are talking about as they think about going back to work. So anyway, there's a lot more to say about this. It'll be on the next week on the evening news and CBS this morning. But I thought I would give you that right now because the clinical pearl here is ventilation, which I hadn't really thought a lot about. We've been talking about everything else, but ventilation. And once this expert said, look, if we admit that you have aerosolization and you can have these little particles go across a room, then you got to think about, okay, you got to fix that. How do you fix that? Well, one way is ventilation. So that's something for people an actionable item.
Well, okay, real quick, our kid upstairs is asking this question, but then a lot of people on the comments are repeating her question, so we're going to put this out here. Ask Dr. LaPook what they are estimating for new COVID cases because of the protests.
That's your photo?
It's really hard to do the modeling of that. It's a great question. I'm so worried about it. You see everybody arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder, and you get it. I can't imagine that there's not going to be an increase in cases. I think that would be magical thinking. The question is going to be, especially when you see people without masks, and the masks, by the way, talking to these experts, they really do give protection. And it looks like not just when you're sick, the line is you protect somebody else, but it goes the other way too. You have some protection yourself, but it's not 100%. But I think it's going to be very hard to know the effect of it for a while. It could be a week or two, or even a little bit more, because there's the incubation period. So the cases might pop out in 5 to 7 days. Then they have to infect other people, and then there are going to be a lot of people without symptoms. We know that a big percentage don't have symptoms. So by the time it filters up and filters out and people start getting really sick and going to hospitals, it may be several weeks from now. But I am very concerned about. So people, I understand absolutely protesting. That's what America, part of what makes America great. But do it in a safe manner, and that means wear that mask.
Right.
Somebody did something really freaky, which is they put a picture of their actual lower face on the mask.
Wow.
So it looked like them.
Yeah,
but
this one person says, Dr. LePook, sadly, I just can't go to the marches happening in the city of Syracuse because too many are still not wearing masks and there's no social distancing going on. I mean, I think a lot of people.
I think a lot of people feel that way, and I've heard people say, "I'm going to be at the end of the march. I'm going to be, not going to be in the middle. I'm going to be in the end." If you can get 6 feet away from people, great. And if you wear the mask, it really does give protection. There was a Lancet article that just came out that showed it was something like 82% reduction from the first meter, which is the first 3 feet,
Wow.
from wearing a mask. And every meter after that, it goes in half. The risk goes in half again.
Wow.
So just the physical distancing, if you can be 6 feet away from, and if you're outdoors, it gets diluted more quickly. And then, if you want to make yourself crazy, you try not to be downwind of everybody with the articles. But that, I know. Wear the mask. Mask.
I've got another question for you, but it's going to wait until tomorrow if you can join us tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, wait until tomorrow. That's what's called the tease.
Exactly. I'm learning from the best.
I am so listening to Mary Wilson, so I'm ready for the show.
Okay.
All right.
Opened up for her.
Yes, that was a wonderful opening act. Great song. All right, bye, Dr. LePook. So here we go. So don't forget, you can donate.
Yes.
You go to the NAACP LDF, which stands for Legal Defense Fund. So NAACPLDF.org/Stars in the House.
That's right.
And then once you donate, forward us that receipt, starsinthehouse2020 so we know what's going down. I'm going to try to look this way, which
I know.
is so weird. I hate the camera being so high.
I'm watching you do that.
I just want to connect with Mary. All right. Anyway, we're so excited. Someday we'll be together, and that someday is now. Someday.
Very good, Seth.
So I know my Supremes. I grew up in America. Here we go. The amazing Mary Wilson.
Hi. Hello, guys. I'm glad that I'm not the only one not knowing where to look. It's like,
I know.
Do I look here? My daughter was on early. She says, "Mom, don't look that way." I'm like, okay.
I can't.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. I love the photos behind you. Can you describe what the photos are?
Well, I think I can. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's me. I was trying to find the right spot. This is not my office. This is my living room. And in the right spot in my office, the lighting was horrible. I mean, it was just so bright. I mean, it's like I have a brown, complexion, but in there I look like, I don't know what I look like. Anyway, so I had to come out here in the living room. But those are photos and pictures of me, from in the past. There you go. What can I say? All of my Supreme pictures are in the office, and they're really good. Let me see if I can maybe just sneak over there just for a minute, because the lighting is not that great here. But check this out. Wait a minute. Here we go. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not right. Where am I going? Okay, here we go. Oh, right here. I think I found. Oh, there we go.
Wow. Look at that.
That's one of my favorites. And this is, oh, no, not that way. And then, oh, not that way. Oh, where is it? Okay, here it is.
It's always so hard.
Oh, there it is. That's one of my favorites. Someone did that painting of me. I don't know if you can even see it, but it's.
Oh, I love it. Like Medusa.
Isn't that
Mary
great?
Wilson, I noticed, is that your book behind you that I read when it came out? I think it came out when I was 18.
Well, that's the second one, Supreme Faith. Someday we'll be together. The first one is Dream Girl.
Okay.
Yeah. You probably read Dream Girls. Okay, I'm going to go back where it's much better, because my daughter says, "Mommy, don't do that." It's hard. I'm learning so much in this whole thing because, I didn't even know how to do selfies, okay? I mean, my granddaughter says, "Grandma, you got to hold them up here and not down here." I'm like, okay. So I'm learning Zoom. So we're doing Zoom today, Skype, and I mean, it's almost like the CDs and the what you call those things that used to be before CDs, the 8 tracks. You know,
Yes.
it's changing so fast.
Exactly.
What's going on with all this stuff? But anyway, and tell Dr. LaPook that he can open for me whenever my gigs come back. All my gigs this year were canceled, okay?
Yeah. He's available. He's motioning frantically.
Yes, he's clapping. He's ready to
I
go.
do want to say that, and then we can start talking some serious stuff. But you know, entertainers have been hit hard too, and people don't realize because they think that you see all the gold records on the wall, you see all the everything we got and all those kind of accolades. But our gigs are canceled, and many of us live day to day from gig to gig.
Yes.
The gigs are all canceled this year. Well, I shouldn't say canceled. That's wrong. They're postponed.
Postponed.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
it isn't just you. It's all the support staff, the band members, the
Our
people who
band?
sell tickets, all of it.
It's my band members. Yeah, they called me the other day. Oh, where's my picture? Wait, I have a picture of my bands. They'll love this. Let me see. Can I show you that? I don't know.
I love it.
Oh, you can't see it. But I was getting ready to put them up.
Move it up.
Up.
There we go.
There we
Yeah.
go. That's better. I was getting ready to put it up on the wall because they're so cool. But anyway, yeah, they've been with me. They're out of Santa Barbara. They've been with me since one guy said 20-some years, 27 years. I'm like, am I that old? Anyway, when you turn it around 70 something, yeah, that's true. But yeah, so entertainers, I've spoken to so many people out here in Vegas, Lamont McLemore of the Fifth Dimension. I've spoken to just a Bubba Knight of the Pips. You remember those guys, Duke of the Four Tops. And also I've spoken to a lot of girl groups because, I love the girl groups. I grew up listening to the Shirelles, the Chantels, with maybe. Oh, godly. So anyway, I'm doing what are you doing? He's up back trying to get a good view of that. I see you back there. So I'm talking to a lot of my friends, the Dixie Cups. And I'm going to have a Sirius, I'm going to be DJing on Sirius. So I think it's 60s.
That's where I work.
Really?
Yeah, what channel are you going to be on?
I don't know. I'm speaking with cousin Brucey's guy over there, Steve, and so I just actually did all the songs and all the girls, and so it should be fun. So anyway, I'm speaking to all my friends because that's we have to stick together. All of us started back in the 50s, and we're talking about. I know that you're talking about a lot of things that happened in the 50s and 60s. It was rough. I had one friend ask me. He's Frank Moreno out here in Vegas, who has a wonderful show with the female impersonators and all. He plays Joan Rivers, and so he says, "Mary," he says, "I had no idea that you, this affected you." I'm like, "Are you kidding? I'm black." I'm gonna put that down. So and it's I remember having to drink out of the water fountains when it said for colored people, and then if we had for white people, we couldn't. We did the Motown Review tour, and we toured the South, and we couldn't stay at any of the hotels or motels. So those things are that's why a lot of people are protesting, because although you mentioned Thurgood Marshall, although those the NAACP, the Urban League, who I'm with, the St. Louis Urban League, they're really doing a lot to bring out what happened back in those days.
Right.
Because it was, a lot of us who are still alive, and I'm still alive, we actually lived through it. And people don't, some of the younger teenagers and the young adults, they're not aware that we opened a lot of doors. We in the 50s, the 60s, when we started singing, we couldn't play at a lot of white establishment places. So therefore, I understand why a lot of people are still angry. They say, well, why are black people still angry? They're free. Right. Yeah, but, we may be free, but people have in their mindset how that they think, black people are not really citizens. I mean, I get on the elevator sometimes and people don't even, they kind of move over to the side, and I'll say, hi, how you doing? They look at me like, whoa, somebody spoke to us. They don't, still there are people who really don't think that black people are the same as they are. We are here on this earth. So that's kind of why people are really, upset. I look at my house and everything in it pretty much is from China. Nothing about Chinese. I mean, I'm just saying that everything is made in China. And so people are upset because they don't have any jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, things that should be made in the U.S. for those are the jobs. People are upset, a lot of them, because they're living in poverty. I mean, my mother couldn't read nor write. She was a domestic worker back when I was born, and we had to wear hand-me-down clothes she would bring home from the white family's house that they gave her, and we lived in the projects. It was Eleanor Roosevelt who actually helped break the ground for the Brewster projects when they built the projects there. And so we had to live there, and people thought that in the ghetto people were dirt poor, and we would be homeless today probably if the same situation was going on. I would be one of those families. So we're talking about people who have become, they've become rich and famous, a lot of Black people. And I'm so happy, the Whoopi Goldbergs and the Oprah Winfreys and all the people who've accomplished so much. But there's still people who have not been able to accomplish that kind of thing. Education system. No one's protesting about the bad education here. I mean, I travel the world, and it's amazing that everyone wants to come to America, but they don't know that a lot of us are suffering here. We don't have jobs here. So there's still a lot of things that are going on, and like I say, I'm very privileged. A lot of us Black people are very privileged because we've had a good education. And we have moved on, but there's some who still are suffering.
So, Mary, going back, you were born, because I did a speed read of your book, having read it over 30 years ago. I can remember all the details.
Which one? Dreamgirls?
The one that came out in 1986 or 87.
Oh, okay, yeah, Dreamgirls, I guess. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so you were born in Mississippi, but then when you were a little girl, you moved to Detroit, right?
Well, I was born in Mississippi. I'm a Southern girl, yes. And that was during the time when, the big migration happened and Black people were moving up north because of the jobs. So it was, I never really experienced what a lot of Black people who actually had to live there. I remember when my father died in 1961, just when I graduated from high school, Northeastern in Detroit there. And so I had to go back to Greenville, Mississippi, and my cousins and all, they still live there. And we went downtown to buy something for my dad. You have to buy the gloves or the socks and, the little things that you buy. And so I remember the guy at the little shop down there in Greenville he says to my cousin, I know she's not from here because she's too picky. And so our cousin said, Mary, please be good because I still live here and you don't know what happens. You're going to go back to Detroit where it's not as bad. So, because I would say, well, I don't want those. Those socks don't look good enough for my dad. My cousin said, Mary, please calm down. So, yeah, things like that really were going on, and they still are pretty much. But see, the thing about it now is that we have laws to stop people from really being treated as badly as they were back then. Back then, they could just do whatever they want to do to you, and no one would ever really know or care. We didn't have cell phones back then. Sorry.
But Detroit, of course, changed your life in a lot of ways, and one of those, or a couple of those reasons, the main one was music, because I was reminded that you were friends with, is it Carolyn Franklin? Is that who you were friends with?
Oh, you mean Aretha's sister, Carolyn? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Carolyn actually wrote a lot of Aretha's songs, and she also sang with Aretha. She did a lot of backgrounds in the recordings. But my first group that I was with was, Carolyn Franklin's group. And I remember that one of the girls in the group, I guess she didn't like me or something. I don't know what it was, but she didn't want me to be in the group. So years later, when I wrote my first book, Dreamgirl, that you were talking about, I interviewed Carolyn. And I said, Carolyn, why didn't that girl like me? She says, because you were cute. I'm like, what does that have to do with singing? You know what I mean? I couldn't understand. Oh my God. That was my graduation picture.
I thought we were younger here.
But when you were younger, you were also a cutie. First of all, look how
you were 3.
Yeah, that's when I was on my way to Detroit right there. I think I was around 3 or 4. Yes. Oh, look at you. You got, oh, look at me. That's me. I don't know why they put me down low. I'm the older
Oh,
sister.
yeah,
Yeah, and my baby sister Kathy, and then that's my brother Roosevelt. That was in the projects. Yes.
we're raising money for the NAACP, and you talk about having had the separate water fountains. What were your parents' attitude? What were they teaching you about that kind of stuff when you were younger? Were they accept it? Were they resentful? Protest it? What were they talking to you about?
No, are you kidding? It's amazing. Every time we would walk out that door, our parents, probably every black person I knew, their parents would say, when you walk out of here, you are representing the black community. So you be on your best behavior. We were always told that, we had to work harder than anyone else to really do what we need to do. Our parents were especially Flo, Diane, and I. Our parents were very wonderful parents. They didn't want us to sing, first of all. They just thought we were going to be passing time. But yeah, they were. Diane's mom, Mrs. Ross, was our chaperone. And she's just a gorgeous lady, a beautiful lady. But they were always telling us to be on our best behavior. We had to really hurt. And people ask me, well, did you know that when you became famous, you were doing something really special? We're like, yeah. I mean, because we couldn't. I mean, I remember we couldn't go into different neighborhoods in Detroit. I mean, it wasn't the same as in the South. I mean, if you were black, you could not go into another neighborhood if you didn't live over there. Grosse Pointe was one of the ones that I should mention. I mean, I never even went over there, and it was right in the neighborhood next door to me where I grew up. So we knew that we were doing something special because our parents told us. I mean, back then, you see, we had. Education was kind of like from your elders. We always would get together, the aunts, your uncles, your cousins, Uncle James, drunk George, that thing, and Lucy, your aunt, you know what I mean? And all the family were together, and they would share stories. So as children, we would all sit around and we'd like listen. Oh my God! And they would tell us how my aunt Ivy, who actually raised me and brought me to Detroit. She and her husband, John L., they raised me until I was like 10 or 11. And I remember she was saying, because she was very little, and she was said, I had to, when we picked cotton in the South, she says, I was little and I had to carry this huge bag of cotton on my back. So we would hear all these stories about how that's what they would do out there in the fields. They had to pick cotton.
Well, that's right.
Go ahead.
Mary, I remember reading that because your grandmother's parents were slaves. Am I remember that correctly?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sure. So I mean, we grew up hearing all the stories, and like I would imagine, like the children and the young adults today, it's like, oh, that was a long time ago. That's not in this, but it's it's still in the DNA of all of us because it's our parents, and they told us about that, and so they were always very protective in trying to make sure that we did not have to go through the same things. My mother, as I mentioned, who couldn't read and write, always stressed she wanted to see her children go to school, and especially if we can get into college. That's why I got to tell you this. When we finally went to Motown, and Mr. Berry Gordy signed us up, he put us with Holland Dozier Holland, the Eddie Holland, Brian Holland, and so they got us to hit records. Well, before they did this, we had released about, 6 or 7 records. And so when we heard our first #1, Where Did Our Love Go, none of us liked it because we were like, we said, we want something soulful like Martha and the Vandellas. You know what I mean? We were just these skinny little girls, and I think we all thought we were cute, which I think we were all cute, actually, myself. But we just didn't get that hit record. So when Eddie played us a record, I said, Eddie, we need a hit record, because if we don't get a hit record, they're going to make my mother and our mothers are going to make us go to college. And we were like 16 years old at this point, 16 or 17 years old. And we, our parents had saved up their pick nickels and dimes to send us to the community college or wherever. And here we are going to be singing. And so Eddie said, just trust me. These records are going to be hit records. And of course, I've had to eat my words for almost 60 years now. I love Where Did Our Love Go Now, but back then we didn't, because our parents put us to college.
But you talk about having a hit record. Talk about having a hit record and your mom being a domestic. Can you tell us like something really fun you bought for your parents once you actually had some money? Was there something really special you bought for your parents?
Oh, sure. I mean, the first thing we bought for our parents were homes. And it was amazing because when we got our big check, we were on the road actually, and there's some people at Motown. I think it was, I forgot, I can't remember the names, but anyway, their wives were in real estate, and they looked for the different houses. And when we came home, they showed us all these houses, but separately. And it's amazing because we all ended up on the same street. We like the houses on the same street, Buena Vista in Detroit. So yeah, I mean, it was so much fun, but that's what we did. But what I bought was a very beautiful heart-shaped 4.5 carat ring. It's beautiful. Well, someone else liked it, and it's on some of the album covers. You can see it, but someone liked it and it disappeared. But yeah, we bought homes for our parents, though. That was something very special. And I do want to say that, you mentioned NAACP, and of course they're one of the premier organizations that have done so much for our people. But the organization that I'm personally involved with is the St. Louis Urban League. And they too have been around for years and years and years. In fact, they invited me to Ferguson after all that violence happened there. And they rebuilt the building. I mean, they're also doing a lot of work. And so I told them that I want to be involved with them because I know a lot of people are getting with their own, organization that they like, which I think is wonderful because that spreads it around, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to give a shout out to them for all the good work that they've done because they brought me in. I never would have gone to Ferguson, but I just read about it on the paper or like now I'm looking at TV like, oh my God, there's so much violence going on. I think I'm the only happy person around here, and I hate to say this because I've been working for almost 60 years and on the road. And so I'm always traveling, which I love traveling. But being home, and we're going back now to the virus, the big V virus, right? And I've been able to stay home and actually do some. I'm stopping, I'm smelling the roses, I'm unpacking boxes, I'm going in my file cabinets, I'm finding all the old pictures, I'm doing all kind of cleaning.
Yeah.
I'm a cleaning lady now, when they call me Bertha, I don't know. But yeah, I'm doing that, so it's giving me a chance to actually call people. People have been calling me that I haven't spoken to for years. Friends, I spoke to Eddie and Brian Holland the other day, who did all of our 10 number one records. So it's kind of, even though they say be careful what you wish for, so I wish for a couple of months off. Now I got a whole year.
Yeah,
that ain't fun. But still, I'm happy because I did have a chance to kind of sit and think about things, very important things. I want to bring up something that happened recently, the Music Modernization Act that was passed by a lot of us in the entertainment business, which I think it was something anyone recorded after 1972 would receive money from streaming and all those kind of things that are happening, all the new technology. But all those artists who recorded prior to 1972 were not getting that. So I and a lot of other people, Smokey Robinson, Dionne Warwick, Otis Redding's daughter, I mean, there were so many of us who lobbied to get this bill passed. And it was passed. It was passed, and it was signed by the president. And it was the same day that Kanye West was on. So a lot of people didn't really see that.
But that's.
I won't go there, but I'm just saying that a lot of people didn't know. So, and it's not just singers who are being paid. I mean, anyone in the music engineers, all these people, because the new technology is wonderful. It really is. But sometimes it comes so quickly that there are loopholes.
Yeah.
A lot of the copyright things were just needed to be updated. So this is going to help a lot of people. Even people who passed on, their families, can receive monies from this. So I'm really happy about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So I'm applauding all. I think we entertainers, we lend our voices and our whatever to a lot of events and affairs, because I know myself, I've done so many Zooms for different things during this pandemic. which is giving people enjoyment. None of us are being paid, but we're still doing what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't do it. I shouldn't say we don't do it for money. We do. we have mortgages and rent and all this car payments, all that. And I got 10 grandchildren, and so we do need to be paid, but yet and still, everyone out there who's doing these virtual things, I want to say congratulations to them, because we shouted out to the healthcare workers and people of that nature, but there are other people who are doing some things of that nature to help. And that's why I love America. Traveling the world, I tell you that I just see why people want to come here, because they're jealous of us, a lot of them, because we got so much. We have a voice. We have a voice, and we should use it. And that's what people are using. But you know what? Don't be stealing nothing and breaking windows. You know what? Okay, stop it.
I think they've heard you.
I love that you're so optimistic. It's interesting. We had Leslie Uggams on the other night, and
I love Leslie. Yeah.
Wow, we love
it
her.
was such a rich history was there during civil rights, and there's a lot of similarities as far as optimism,
so positive,
and positive energy.
Well, I was going to say this. I think the entertainers throughout even I wasn't back then, but I'm sure we were gifted with the gift to sing and to be comics and to be actors and actors and to make people happy. So, most of us basically are really giving people. And that's what I like about it. The optimism that you hear is because that's what we do. We go on stage. People think, well, you go up there to make people happy. Yeah, we do. I mean, we want you to smile. You paid your money to see us, and we want to do a great job. Then you hear about maybe people being divas and this and that, but because they want perfection, they want to be good so that people can go away, not to say that, oh, you were good, but that people go away being happy.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. So I'm very happy that, I'm an artiste, and so I can make people happy. I want to do Broadway too.
Mary, wait a minute. We didn't know that. Have you never auditioned for a Broadway show? Have you ever?
Well, I have, but I was turned down. But anyway,
Wait a minute.
So I've done some off-Broadway things because I lived there in New York in the 90s, and I did some off-Broadway things. I did vagina monologues.
Yes.
I did that. I love that. But I would love to do that. So at my age now, 76, it's like I've done almost everything. Dr. LaPoop says something about his bucket list. Well, my bucket list is doing Broadway, maybe even a Supremes Broadway play.
Mayor, we have to discuss that.
Did I say that out loud? Oh my God! I was just thinking it.
We got our clip. But hold on, you guys would always do these Broadway medleys, and I just thought maybe they made you do them, but I didn't know that you actually enjoyed them.
Oh no, are you kidding? See, this is the thing that people don't realize. That's why they need to read my books, because I have 3 out. This Dream Girl, and then the second was Supreme Faith, and my last one is Supreme Glamour. It's all about the gowns and whatever. But when we were still 13 and 14 years old as the primates, we were 4 girls then. And we always did harmony. And some of my favorite groups were groups like the Andrews Sisters, the McGuires, and all that. And we would do all of those groups. Oh, look at it. They're going to spotlight the picture right up. All right. That's me in the middle. I was always in the middle of stuff. Anyway, so, we always did the music, those harmony songs and the musicals. So when we went to Motown, Mr. Gordy, Barry Gordy, saw that that's what we enjoyed doing. So we continued doing. In fact, I think I can say this without stepping on someone's toes. They're re-releasing our Funny Girl album that we did, yes, on CD. So it came out originally the album, but we did the Funny Girl album. We did what else did we do? The Rodgers and Harts album, and we always sang those type of songs in our shows. So that's what we actually did, but our recordings were basically, pop songs. They weren't the Broadway thing. In fact, I think the one album that was done with Jewel Stein, didn't do well because people just weren't quite ready for What I love about that is that people ask me when I did Dancing with the Stars, they said, was that hard? I'm like, no, because we always did choreography. You know, when especially on TV, we would do our hit record, and then alongside it, we do these Broadway tunes, and they would always have lots of choreography. Of course, we had learned choreography from Charlie Atkins at Motown for in artist development. So we were, you know, it was something that I enjoyed doing, the Dancing with the Stars. I just wish I had stayed on longer.
Girl, you gotta come back.
You know, hey, that's okay. And speaking about that, I just spoke with my friend Allie, who was on as well. She was on the show on Dance with the Stars, and we became just like that. So she and I are really talking about getting together to record some songs together.
I love it. You know, we were rereading your book, like we were saying, you girls. We'd love, since we're raising money for the NAACP, we'd love for you to talk about some of your travels in the South and just what you had to face and what groundbreakers you guys were.
Yes. Well, you know, I mentioned earlier we did Motown review tours in the South, and we also, when our hit record "Where Did Our Love Go" came out, we were on the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars, which we actually ended up, touring with Gene Pitney, Jan Ding, the Dixie Cubs, the Shirelles. I mean, it was the Chantels. It was really cool, and it was, of course, biracial. You know, some were white and some were black, and this was in '64. So, you know, that was the same time that the Civil Rights Bill was passed, and it was still very touchy. So I recall Dick Clark was one of the great guys in that he we would stop at a motel to check in after show, and they wouldn't want all of us there. And so Dick would say, Mr. Clark would say, if all of us can't stay, then none of us will stay. And he said, everybody get back on the bus. So you had white and blacks who really worked together well back in the days. But because of the laws, a lot of people, you know, they went along with it, but they treated their slaves good, you know what I mean? But the laws were convenient for a lot of people, so they did that as well. But you had people like Dick and Ed Sullivan. I mean, Ed Sullivan, who was the same way. I mean, he started having all types of rock and roll artists, black and white, on his show very early on, before it was the thing to do.
Wow.
So that's why I mentioned earlier how entertainers and people who are into music themselves, they're different. They're all different, not just the singers, but I mean, you know, some of the other people like Dick and Ed. So one time, I think we were on a Motown review tour, and this is
Mary, is that the first one? Because that's what I was reading your chapter
no,
from your book.
not the first one, because we didn't have any hit records, so we couldn't go on that tour.
Okay.
We had to wait until our record, was bubbling under before they actually put us on the tour. Plus, we were still in high school. So the one time the bus, it was a raggedy bus too. We had just finished a gig, and I recall you had the policeman who kept the group divided, right? You know, the audience. So you had the white on this side, the black on this side, and so the policeman was right there. But when the music got so good, everyone started to come together. There's some kind of party, and they had to separate everyone. When we got on the bus, there were shots, and so I remember Mary Wells. I got two lovers and I'm not ashamed. Oh no. Anyway, so we were trying to get on the bus, and she was one of the first to get to the bus, right? Mary was a very voluptuous kind of woman. I'll put it that way. Yeah, and so she didn't go. She just got to the stairwell there and didn't go on the bus. And we all trying to climb in and climb over and whatever. Anyway, we finally got on the bus and took off and started singing, as we always do. Everyone just kind of started singing. Further down the road, after we were away, they got out, and sure enough, gunshots were all on the side, on the bus. So I mean, we had a lot of those situations, but the music brought people together, and I really feel that. I think that music is just such a great ambassador, in terms of bringing people together. I mean, look at the Beatles coming into America. We went to the UK, and we were embraced there, and that was the first time we actually felt that we were real bona fide stars the way they embraced us. Here, we were still three black girls, But over there, we were stars. We were pretty much stars there. That's in Trafalgar Square there. We were pretty much stars there before we were here in
I was
terms
going to ask you that.
of being accepted. You know what I'm saying? And looked at and really admired. I in my last book, Whoopi Goldberg wrote the foreword, and she said such a beautiful, beautiful thing. I love her for saying that. She said it was the first time she saw beautiful Black women on television. You know, and she said more. You have to buy the book though. But I mean, she it was a forward, and she said so beautiful. And oh, let me tell you the last thing. My granddaughter, who is actually she's going to be graduating tomorrow from a community college. I'm very pleased with her, Mia, and she said. No, it wasn't her. It was my other grandchild. But anyway, I just threw it in. Mia's graduating tomorrow, so I had to.
Exactly.
But my younger one, Marina, said she was watching the Ed Sullivan DVDs, and so I played her the one of Ed Sullivan where we were singing "Come See About Me," and she said, "Grandma, what happened to the color?" Because it was in black and white.
We actually have the black and white stuff. It is shocking.
Yeah.
Do the song.
Yeah, so that was black and white. So Marina couldn't believe because she figured the color had just gone out. I'm like, no, we all have black and white TVs, Marina.
Mary, you know, when I was reading the section of your first book to Seth and our daughter, one of the things that struck me was the importance of the bus driver on those tours going through the South, and how he would have to go and basically check out the restaurants and see if they were safe. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, just a little bit, only because there's not a lot of stories except just what you said. You know, someone had to go in there first and check it out. And as the Motown Review tour, see, we were all black, and you know, so that was the difference. That we couldn't go in there and check it out because we probably would have been shot or run out of there. You know what I mean? So yeah, you would have to have someone to do that, check it out first.
And check out what? Whether you'd be allowed there?
Of course. It was, yeah, that's the way life was. So now maybe people can understand why for many Black people it still is such a very hard thing, because they're still treated like that. I mean, I recall even now, if I go into a store and they don't know I'm Mary Wilson, I mean, it's like I might be the last person they wait on. You know what I mean? Now, if they find out who I am, then they leave the store open. You know, I can shop all night.
You talk about that in your book, and you talk about there's a treatment for Blacks who are famous and treatment for Blacks who are not famous.
Yeah, right. So, you know, it's just one of those things that we do have to get over. And maybe since this whole time frame we're in right now is so widespread, it's not just in America, it's all over the world. So maybe there's some sort of intervention here where something's made everything stop, so that people can really think, you know, and something, maybe this will bring about a huge change. I'm hoping that it will. So who knows? Maybe there was a reason for all of this. You know.
I know what you mean. It's an interesting confluence of events that happen at the same time while we're all stopped. I agree with you.
Yes, I mean, because you've had regional things that have stopped it, you know, but nothing the whole world at one point. Yeah, well, maybe there war back there when Hitler was around, but that's another. I'm sorry, did I say that?
No, we're with you.
we do have freedom of speech, but let me tell you, if you say the wrong thing, honey, people will definitely jump on you.
No, you're safe here. So I want to talk about the swimming pool experience you had when you were down south, because that is the thing about the way you're treated one way, but then when they know you're famous, you're treated another way. What was that like?
Well, that was wonderful, because we were on not Dick Clark, that was on the Motown Review tour, yes. And I also remember the bus was driving down a street in Florida, and we saw another group. Oh my God, I can't. The Staple Sisters, and we all, hey, they're the Staple Sisters. Wait, the Staple Sisters. But anyway, that's another story. So we went on down, and we had the day off, I think it was, and we were to do a show there the next day. So pulled up into this motel because we didn't stay at hotels back then anyway. And so someone said, "There's a swimming pool out there," and we're like, "Wow!" And it was hot as can be, you know. So everyone ran upstairs and got, you know, undressed and put the bathing suits on, and we all came down the pool and jumped into the pool. No one even thought about looking around, you know. We just jumped in there, and the few white people who were there kind of jumped out at the same time that we jumped in. And they, you know, were all sitting around. Then this was still the time of transistor radios and, you know, the little small things. So someone must have had one, and the music was playing. And the DJ said, and tomorrow night we're going to have so-and-so, the Motown Review here with Mary Wells, you know, the Marvelous, Smokey and the Miracles, and, you know, all this went on and on. Stevie Wonder. And so one of the other people there heard it and said, "Oh my God, is that who that is? That's them?" And they all got back into the pool, and for the rest of the day, we all swam together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, there you
I
go.
mean, it's true that music brings you together, but it's also horrible. I mean, it's both, you know?
Yeah. Well, I do want to say, I want to say one thing too. What I'm very proud to see the people who are out there. They're Asians, they're Latin, they're Black, they're white, they're all people. They all should have their mask on, though, but they don't. But anyway, I think people just ready to get out of the house, right? This COVID thing. But what I'm very happy is that it's not just a one group of people, you know, just Jewish or just you know, whatever. It's or just Black. It's everybody, because you know, people are, you know, not the ones who still don't understand that Black is okay, because there's some people who still don't think that Black is okay. You know, I mean, that's the truth. But that's because, just like in our family, how our mothers and fathers told us, "Be careful out there, because you know, if you say the wrong thing, someone can hang you or do whatever they're gonna do." Well, I think in the other races they say the same things. You know, Black people, you know, they're lazy, they're this and whatever. You know, be careful when they're around them. You know, and all of them are bad. So I think it comes from all sides. You know, and a lot of it comes from you know, early on with our parents and their experiences and the laws that were out, where the law said, you know, you're Black, you know, whatever. So those are the kind of things that maybe now the younger generation, and I think I see a lot of them, they don't have the same mindset because they didn't go through the same things. You know what I mean? This generation, they didn't go through those type of things, and their parents didn't either. So, you know, I think this has given us all a time to kind of reevaluate, because most people, especially young ones, love music. They love Black music. They love rap music. They love all these things. So the color is not even there. So the color needs to kind of come out of the equation. And I think those bad apples need to, you know, do whatever God decides they need to do and get out of the way.
You know, it's how long did you know Smokey Robinson? Did you know each other as kids?
I'm sorry?
Did you know Smokey Robinson when you were kids, or did you meet when you were famous?
No, we became. Oh, sorry, that's my clock. It sings. Anyway, so when we, the Supreme, started singing in 1959, we performed around Detroit and kind of did record hops. So we did we would just they would have these dances and we would be there and we would sing. And so Diane at the time lived in the same neighborhood that Smokey lived in. So she kind of knew him because of that. When we finally got to Motown, it was the Miracles who auditioned. We auditioned first at Claudette Robinson's house. She was a female in the group, and later she and Smokey got married. So after that audition, then we auditioned for Motown. That's when we really started meeting everyone. And I remember we used to sit outside of Motown, and as Mary Wells would come up, and Mark Johnson and some of the Temptations would say, "Hey, how y'all doing? Hey, hey!" And so pretty soon, we got inside, and then we became part of the family.
I have this clip of you and Smokey sassing each other. I think this is it.
But what do you mean you've known us for 30 years? Honey, we're not that old.
I've known each of you for 10 years. 3 times 10, 30.
I hope you don't do your own tax return.
Smokey wrote a lot of our earlier songs. Yes, he was our first producer at Motown. So I always have a very wonderful feeling in my heart for him. So in fact, I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is having an event coming up as soon as everything opens up. And they're going to show lots of videos. And one of the videos that they're showing is where I sang at when Smokey was being honored by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that should be fun to see whenever things, open up. Who knows when that's going to be?
You're still singing. You're still singing up a storm, right? You're not retired vocally, right?
Oh no! Are you kidding? I was going to be. Oh no! I had all kind of gigs this year booked. So yeah, no, I'm still singing.
We found this.
Want me to sing something? You are so late getting home. No, I'm not going to sing.
Oh, I love that song. Guess who I saw today?
Child, things are going to get better, easier. Oh, child, things will get brighter. I love that song. I'm thinking maybe I should put that out because it's such an uplifting song, huh?
Yeah.
It was first done by the Four Steps, yeah, but I re-recorded it. So in fact, I think I put it on YouTube, okay?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
We found this one clip of you online singing, but within one measure, you were like, I'm out. Here it is. I love it.
I've got this yearning, burning, a feeling inside me. Ooh, it's deep inside me. Okay, let's look at that.
That's all you gave. One measure.
That wasn't that long ago. Was at the European Parliament? Why were you there?
Oh yeah, you got that too. I don't have that. I've got to get that. Yes, I was over there. I was being honored, and I was a spokesperson for. It was a women's summit, and women from all over the world were there, and they were talking about equality for females and how in the workplace a lot of times it's not so true. So I was very thrilled to be a part of that. In fact, some of the groups that were there, a group of women who were there, sent me letters back and said they wanted me to come back and speak, especially the ones in some of the African countries. They wanted me to come back over. It was such a wonderful event to see that women are finally coming into a certain place in the world. I'm almost like being Black, we're finally coming in, in the world being a part of what's going on. But women, the equality that women have had to deal with throughout the years has been rough as well. And like you're speaking about breaking that glass ceiling, of course, here we had Hillary, who almost became president. And so women are beginning to move forward in all over the world, but still it's not an easy thing. So I was very happy to be a part of that. I must get that piece, that clip. I didn't know it was even out there. Okay. Oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
So if you come to Broadway, would you want to be in the show as well?
Well, I mean, I love theater. First of all, I've always loved theater. So I would like to be in a show, yes. But I'm actually putting together, hopefully, a Supremes musical. I'm working on something. But it's only at the very beginning. So I probably will need, to get other people to come in and help me on that. I've contacted a couple, my partner.
But would you actually write yourself a role, like a female Berry Gordy or something like that? Would you give yourself a part?
Oh no, I wouldn't definitely. No, I don't think I would want to be in the musical. I'd like to do like Otis did, with his musical about the Temptations. Yeah. I know. I definitely wouldn't, because I wanted to end up touring all over the world. I open up in in London and all that stuff. Oh no, no. I just want to sit back and receive the checks. No, I think the reason why I say it like that is that they did the play Dreamgirls, and everyone says, "Oh, well, you can't do another play about the Supremes." I'm like, well, that wasn't really about the Supremes. I think
Right.
that they used our story, our career, our facade, everything about us they used, but it was not the story of the Supremes. Our story was much different from that. So I want to come from that, where Florence, Diane, and I really, as I said, we dared to dream at a time when it was an impossible dream for Black people to become rich and famous. We weren't even thinking about becoming rich and famous. We just wanted to sing.
And you were at such a young age. I think that's the difference.
I'm sorry, you cut out.
You weren't a group that was manufactured. You were friends from such a young age.
Oh yeah, I mean we started singing in 1959, and by the time we went to Motown in 1961, we were already kind of made, but it wasn't. Motown was the ones who really gave us what we needed. I mean, thank God for Motown, because they had a place for people like us who wanted to sing, who were singing, to have a place to grow. And so that's what Motown did for us. But they were there. We had a place to go. But our image, I remember we had cheap pearls on from Woolworths. Okay. So, and you mentioned about the Broadway plays and songs. We were singing, harmonies and musical songs and standards long before we went to Motown. So they were smart enough, let's put it this way, they were smart enough to see who we were. So we didn't have to be made over, but they certainly groomed us. And with artist development, they had great people like Maxine Powell, who we've not mentioned. She was the lady who actually, gave us that attitude of being beautiful human beings. And she said one time, "You ladies are diamonds in the rough, and we're just here to polish you." I mean, that's the most beautiful thing anyone could say to a 15 or 16-year-old person. So it made you feel, proud. And then you had Charlie Atkins, who did all of the choreography. Did it for the Temptations, for the Supremes, Last Night in the Pips, I mean, the Miracles, everybody, the Contours. So we work with great people, and that's what Motown gave us. But we came there with our own sort of who we were.
Mm-hmm. And look how beautiful you guys were. Look at these outfits, color.
Don't you wanna know to lie to the root? The man can see
Now that was the '70s Supremes. That was after both Florence and Diane were no longer in the group. That
Right.
was Jean Terrell, who brought us such a wonderful new life to the group, and Cindy Birdsong. So Up the Ladder to the Roof, Stone Love, Everybody's Got the Right to Love. I mean, we had some beautiful, beautiful songs, and we no longer had Holland Don't You Holland at that time, but we had Frank Wilson, who actually produced all of our songs, in the '70s. So it was like two groups. I always say this, the first group was the '60s, and the second group, when Diane and Flo were no longer there, Jean, joined us, and it was so great. And then, of course, they left, Cindy left, and we had Sherry Payne and Suzette Green. And then the Supremes ended in 1977. Now, there are people going around saying that they were Supremes, but they were not signed to Motown. They were not signed to me, so they are not Supremes. I did, I kind of used the name to keep us whatever, but they were at name only, on the marquee.
We say we were Supremes, but I guess we were not.
I'm sorry?
We say we were Supremes, but we can't claim that.
No, you cannot. But hey, look, you might as well do what everyone else did.
Thank you. No, but my final thing is, how do you think you've kept your voice? Because it's so clear. You're obviously not a smoker. Like, do you have any other tricks for keeping your voice so great?
Darling, Peter, darling, I was definitely a smoker, and it's not a good thing. Okay, really? I was many days old, darling. I smoked forever. I wish I had not, but probably because I only sang paper oohs and ahs. So I didn't destroy my voice. In fact, I'm really just learning how to sing. I have a great vocal coach Lucy Shropshire, who actually sings with me. She's one of my vocalists, and she is also a wonderful coach. So she actually is training my voice even now. Because after singing, both Diane and Flo had really high voices, and Jean Terrell had a high voice. Everybody had high voices, Sherry, and I was the only one who really had a low voice. So I mean, I've had to, learn how to really get the voice in good shape now. So I'm after all these years, I'm learning how to sing. Before we go, I do have to say one more thing. Uh, I'm working on getting a stamp, a U.S. stamp for Florence Ballard. So I want all of your friends to write to the U.S. Stamp Committee in Washington D.C. and help me to do this, because I think it would be such a wonderful thing for one lady. She was such a beautiful lady, Florence, and this is so deserving. And I'm sure her daughters, her three daughters, are going to be very happy when this happens. So.
Oh, that's wonderful.
People would send their letters to the U.S. Stamp Committee in Washington, D.C.
Mary, before we go, I know that I read that Dr. King would sometimes visit the Supremes on tour. Do you have any stories you can share with us?
Well, I should be honest and say he actually came to see Mr. Berry Gordy. But Barry traveled on the road with us, so of course we were like right there, because we were always right next to Barry in case anything happened there. But he always came, came out on the road. And I remember Barry actually recorded, one of his speeches. So they became very, very dear friends. And Mr. King was, he liked music, but he was very serious. You know what I mean? He was really serious. And also, let me tell you one thing that I do recall, speaking about Mr. King, though, when he was assassinated, we were in New York City, and we were called. I think we were doing either the Copa or something like that, and so we were called in to actually sing a tribute or a song for Mr. King on the what's the guy's name? Johnny Carson show. And that was one of the hardest things, I think, for us to do, because we were torn apart, because it's like just days after or whatever, and we had to get up there and sing and perform. Who felt like performing at a time like that? But we did it for Mr. King. And then when we went to the funeral, I remember that everybody was there. I mean, Lena Horne, Sammy Davis. Sorry, just talking about it. Everyone, Eartha Kitt, everyone was there. Harry Belafonte, I mean, everybody was there, and it was just so sad, because everyone had also been a part of that movement, the civil rights movement. We had marched on all different times. So, and to see what's going on now, you wonder, just when is it going to end? When is that bitterness, that hatred, people hating each other? When is it, when we learn that we're all on this earth together? And what a wonderful thing. I mean, when I think about it, if I die and the world's going, I won't be here to carry and have all these enjoyment and meet all these people. I mean, why would anyone want to do that? I don't quite understand.
Really beautifully stated. I actually have a clip of you singing a song, which is so appropriate for, I think, You Love Broadway, and also what we're going through right now.
Hi.
It's our daughter.
Julie.
I just wanted to thank you for being a pioneer and making the world a better place. It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. That was one of the songs. Somewhere was one of the songs we we sang during that time, and I remember even in the UK we did that for the royal family.
Oh, wow.
And in the middle of it, um, Diane had the speaking part that she would sing, talk, say, and I remember a lot of the newspapers were very upset because we were talking about, the civil rights and all this kind of thing. And they're like, how can you do this? And, in the royal family, this is celebrated. It's like, but this is our plea for someday. And then that was in the 60s, and we're still here talking about it. It's amazing.
Well, let's hope we're on the path towards something changing, and the world is uniting to do this. So let's hope that we're on the right path.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it is the world. I mean, I'm just so thrilled. I got a letter from Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones, and people. I mean, just people are just they're rooting for us to pull this together. They really are. They really are.
Thank you for joining us
what a
tonight,
night.
Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
We can't thank you enough.
Well, thank you. My makeup.
What about our makeup?
And I have not been wearing makeup because with the virus going on, I mean, I was so happy I didn't have to put makeup on, but every time I do a Zoom or something, I got to put makeup on. It's like, what? Okay. All right, there you go. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we hope to see you on Broadway when this is all over. We'll see you here in New York.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, James.
Be safe. All right. Seth, what are you going to play us out with?
I'll play out with the theme song we just played.
Okay.
Okay.